It's time for, hello, a Jersey Shore recap podcast.
Hello.
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 I'm Cookie.
And I'm your host, GWow. Together we are Cookie and GWow.
And this is Hello, the podcast where we recap every episode of Jersey Shore starting from the beginning.
We sure do. Season 2, episode 12 is what we're covering today, and it's called Deja Vu all over again. And you will see some patterns, and that's why we're getting Deja Vu.
That's an excellent name because we talked about this last week. There's a lot of repeating patterns with Mike. He keeps doing the same shit over and over again. And we will certainly see that in this episode. And it actually picks right up after the fight that Snooki and Mike had, which remind me what that was over. I don't even remember.
It picks on the mouth smack because Mike's trying to get everybody to leave. He's pissed. And he does that like patronizing, condescending mouth slap to Snooki because I don't know. She doesn't even think she talks back to him. She just says we're leaving. She says no. He smacks her mouth. He's being a total douche. And he successfully ruins the night again, I think.
Yeah, everybody goes home, including Vinny and Ramona, though. Vinny takes Ramona home, and I think this is the first time they've gone like home together at night.
Yes, and I wrote two things I wanted to note. Before I get into Ramona, the first thing I did want to note, in the last episode, you said something about Ryder and Snooki and their friendship and how they maybe were just like party friends and not as close as it like besties, like they made it seem on the show. And I think that watching even just the beginning of this episode, I think I might believe this speculation because I feel like in the beginning of this, she's very like, I get that you want to like cheer your friend up when she's down, when something happens and be like, no, don't let it ruin the night. But it seems like she wants to party so bad that she'll almost do anything for like things to just be swept under the rug so that they can continue raging.
Yeah.
And that's where like, I don't know that she necessarily is a good friend or if she is just there for a good time. So I do... I'm calling back to what you said last time. I do agree with you there.
Yeah, and I read that online on like Reddit and stuff. A lot of people have speculated that. And I wonder why they framed it that way. I wonder if she was just a friend of Nicole's, why did they frame it as like her best friend? I wonder why they did that.
Just for dramatics or to like solidify why she was coming, maybe. I don't know. So I'm weary of Ryder a little bit. But the second thing I wanted to say, back to Ramona, I got on board with Ramona as the person in the last episode, but let me say she's always been hot. And watching her walk around in these, first of all, her outfit game's always on point, but she has the body of what was like trendy in 2010 for like body types. She had good boobs, but she was stick skinny with no butt. And it just looked like clothes were like always right about to fall off her, but they're not. They stay exactly in place. She's beautiful. And yeah, her and Vinny have a great night. And it seems like, you know, they're the ones we're rooting for right now.
Yeah, and to remind anybody who may have forgotten, Ramona is the girl that had stood Vinny up earlier in the season and gave him a second chance, and now seems to have been a good decision because they're really getting along. Yeah, and they seem like they're building something. We'll see if it goes anywhere.
I'm here for them right now. That is for sure. So they're like a nice moment right there, but you know, the rest of the house, I guess, is just kind of pissed at each other and like goes to bed.
Yeah, they do. And Snooki's specifically mad because Ryder's going home the next day and might kind of ruin the last night. But then the next morning comes and Ryder has to go and Snooki is really upset, like surprisingly upset.
Before Ryder leaves, the next morning, Mike apologizes to Snooki in bed and Ryder's still there. So Mike decides to give her an apology, but it's again very like throwaway. It's very, oh, I'll say this and then everything will be fine again, even though it's like not. And I also don't like the way he treats her. Like it's very like, I'm sorry, baby. It's like, that's not your girlfriend. Why are you like saying baby and babe every other word? Like I found it very off-putting. And Snooki's like, oh, I can't stay mad at him, but like I feel like he made it really easy to stay mad at.
I agree. His apology was to like sweep it under the rug, and I don't like the way he like went and laid on top of her. He was just too familiar and too comfortable.
Way too
after having just had a big fight.
And it's very empty because he's going to continue to do the same shit, deja vu. But yes, Ryder does have to leave.
Snooki's really upset, but I think more than just Ryder leaving, I think she's just reminded how homesick she is. So she gets really upset. She has a moment where she's crying and Jenny's comforting her. This is another moment.
It probably doesn't help that she's like getting like manhandled and like whatever by Mike. She's probably like, I'm stuck here and I want to go home.
Right. But Jenny's being a good friend and she's comforting her. And I actually have a little soundbite from Jenny comforting Snooki because I just found it very funny.
I feel like right now. Do you want to go tanning?
Oh my God, I wrote that down. That is so funny. How hilarious. Do you want to go tanning?
That is peak Jersey Shore. I mean, what else can I say? Do you want to go tanning?
I love it. I love it so much. And this also leads to a nice little heart-to-heart with Vinny and Snooki, which is funny because like she does say, you know, obviously we fucked, but we have a very familial bond. But I think it is nice, like Vinny's kind of showing that he's there for her. And I appreciate this reach out that he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good for her to have one of the guys on her side too, because it seems like it's like the girls against the guys a little bit in the house.
Yeah.
So it's good when there's some crossover and some, you know.
Yeah.
So Jenny decides to comfort Snooki, though, by telling her that they're going to go to space tonight, which I guess this is a club they've been trying to get to all season and haven't yet. So they're all excited to go to space.
I was trying to think of why they wouldn't just be able to go to whatever club they wanted. But then I was like, well, they probably have clearances and the cameras and like rules, and clubs probably like wouldn't let them in certain places. So I guess they had to like work it out. I wonder if Whitney had something to do with it or if it really was just coincidental. Oh, let's cheer up Snooki by going to space.
Oh yeah, I don't know, but whatever it happened right at the very end. I mean, this is like the last week of them filming. They finally get to go.
I've been keeping timeline, of course, and they've been there for over a month, which also I think justifies Snooki feeling homesick.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is longer than they were in Jersey because by the end of this episode, it's day like 34 or 5. Oh no, 36 is where we're at. So they probably were there for like 40 days, I'm guessing, which is definitely longer than the 4 weeks in season 1.
And so they're finally going to space. And let me just say, they're not planning on having a light night out. They're planning on partying hard and having a rager.
JWoww's outfit. Can we talk about that for a moment?
Okay, let's, because I live for it.
Okay, I'm going to try my best to describe it. Please. It is a little mesh wrap skirt that's maybe like 6 inches in length max.
Right.
It is a matching mesh top. Both are completely see-through. So underneath, you definitely see her full thong. I don't know if she had full underwear, maybe booty shorts on, because I don't remember seeing ass. But like her tits are certainly out with X nipple pasties over them. She is everything. She looks like she's getting paid to dress like that, but she's not.
She looked unbelievable. I loved it. She looked like she would have been one of the like dancers.
Yes. Yeah.
Imagine like a go-go dancer. That's sort of how she looked, but she looked incredible. Her body was just right. It was correct. Everything was in place and just beautiful. She was
stayed in place.
Yeah. That's
she's
what
amazing.
It was. Yeah, she looked incredible.
And I love she's psyched to go to the club. So this is like amazing. Like I love who she is fundamentally right now. Like she's put on an outfit that says I'm fucking hot and everybody's gonna look at me.
Amen.
And it's not just about that though, because she's also excited to listen to the music. And she says, I already got the beats in my head.
I feel that though, because sometimes you're just in the mood to hear loud dance music.
I live for this JWoww.
I do too. Amazing. I want to party with her. I want to go to space with her.
I know.
You know who I don't want to go to space with?
Who?
Mike the Situation.
Mike the Situation fucks it all up. They were there for a little bit and things were like, okay. But I will say, Snooki starts getting in a fight that I'm not really sure where it came from. Probably wouldn't have escalated if Mike hadn't gotten involved, but like what was the deal in the first place? Like maybe it just wasn't shown.
they don't really show it. They just skip right to the point of Snooki kind of fighting with this girl and her boyfriend. But picture the Jersey Shore guys are all very big guys. The boyfriend in question was kind of a small guy.
Right.
So I think Mike just saw this as his window. There was already people arguing. They were much smaller than him. And so while everybody was trying to pull Snooki back and end the tension, Mike jumps in and starts fighting with the couple as well.
And there was no need for it because it gets the security involved.
And unlike Snooki, I mean, Snooki was just yelling at them. But Mike he's big and he's intimidating and he's using his size in his favor. And it feels like he's on the brink of violence any moment. You know, it's kind of scary to see him like that.
The whole scene was really confusing because I don't even know, like, there were other guys then involved.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, then security was there. They hadn't even been there an hour when they got kicked out.
Although what's funny, though, is maybe Ron was being dramatic, but Ron says, and I quote, "It's 3:15. I just got here." Do you think it was really 3:15 a.m.?
I do, because when they called the cabs to go to space, Mike has them pick them up at 1 a.m.
Oh my
goodness. Let's say that they weren't on time and they actually left the house at 1:20, 1:30. Maybe it took them half an hour to get there. And then they were there from once they get inside, whatever, from like 2:15 to 3:15.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be presumptuous, but there's no way it was alcohol alone fueling that. I'm sorry. There had to be some. I
can't imagine leaving the house at 1 a.m. with a normal sleep schedule. So I don't know.
There had to be a little bit of nose candy. There just had to be a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah.
But anyways, as they're leaving space, after they all get kicked out, I don't understand how did all the roommates get kicked out, or did Mike get kicked out and they followed him? I think that
it was like they all got kicked out by association, or maybe because the camera crew was leaving, they all had to leave. Like maybe it was like Mike and the cameras are kicked out, aka everyone's kicked out because you can't stay there without cameras.
So again, I think this is night 3 now. Night 3 that Mike has again ruined everybody's time and ended the party prematurely.
And we're literally not done.
No, but Polly tries to come in clutch and he grabs 2 beautiful women and throws them in the car. Doesn't really know them, hasn't spoken to them, but he thinks they're hot enough and wants to bring them home to have some type of fun that night. And he's still, even though Mike ruined the night, he's still trying to be wingman and brought a girl for Mike.
Polly's being way too nice.
Way too nice.
Do you want to take a little break and then get into it?
Okay, yeah. Okay. We'll be right back. Can't get enough of hello?
Never.
Well, check us out on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok at hello pod.
And if you are listening to us, but you'd rather be watching, you can go to patreon.com/hello. There's also going to be tons of bonus content, including bonus episodes and behind the scenes, like how I got my Snooki pove.
And last but not least, if you're a brand or you just want to give us money, send us an email, a professional email at hellopod@gmail.com.
All right, let's get back to the show already.
Okay. Hello.
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 We're back.
We are back, and we're talking about the 2 girls that that Polly has decided they're going to come home with Mike. I guess everybody else goes out so they can get it in. Is that how it went down?
I'm not sure, but yeah, it seems to just be the 4 of them in the house at that moment. But it turns out one of the girls is completely sober, hasn't had a drink, and does not hook up, and has only had sex with one person, and it was a man she loved. So
and
Mike
he realized, my chances are now 0.
Let's just say Mike was not happy. And he says, let me tell you, there's a quote that I wrote down, and I did not like it. Like it. Mike says to her, "We don't have to bang. You could just blow me."
Yeah, and he was already like manhandling her, like tossing her around really uncomfortably when he thought they were gonna fuck, being gross. And then when he realizes like she doesn't, it's like that throwaway line, and also he basically like throws her off the bed, like pretty much.
Yeah, he like physically removes her from the room. He says, "I'm going to bed. You're gonna wait outside." So he puts her in the living room.
Polly points out why that makes no sense. Like he's like, if you were a good wingman, you and her would leave the room.
Yeah, and just go talk and have a coffee or something.
Meanwhile, isn't everybody else at the club? Why are y'all gonna bang in the same room anyway?
Maybe
Isn't the whole fucking house empty?
It seemed like it. I mean, maybe they were in bed and maybe this is way later, but it did seem empty. And I lost track of where everybody else was, though.
Is the smush room accounted for? Like, why do y'all have to be in the same room?
Well, maybe the girls wanted to be in the same room to feel safe. Maybe that was part of it.
Maybe. I mean, I guess like I think that what Paulie wanted to happen was have Mike like entertain her so that he could work it out. But instead, Mike is basically like, okay, well, yeah, you have to leave, like Adam out of this room.
And Paulie called it out, though. I don't know if it was that same night or the next morning, but Paulie says, because you're not getting any, nobody can. So you had to cock block me. And he did. He cock blocked Paulie.
Both the girls end up leaving, so Paulie doesn't get it in. And it's obviously that Mike didn't get laid, so he got bitter. But Mike the next day reframes it as, oh, I was with a grenade all night and I was so tired of diffusing the grenade and I just couldn't do it anymore. Bitch, no.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's what's there is this funny scene where it's the next morning. It keeps cutting back between Polly and Vinny talking and Mike and Jenny talking. And Mike is going on about how she was ugly and he changed his mind and kicked her out because he didn't want to sleep with her. Meanwhile, Polly's spilling the truth to Vinny that he got rejected and he was bitter boots.
Yeah. Yep. And whatever. Like, obviously, we know Polly's telling the truth.
Of course he is. We saw it with our own two eyes. Mike was like a little boy who got rejected and he didn't know how to act.
Yeah. And Paulie says to Vinny, I really needed you last night because that's his real wingman.
Yeah.
And they decide to go to the beach where they then meet, Vinny's girl, Ramona. And also Paulie, I don't know if you remember, he's been taking this girl, Rocio, out on dates. And she meets up. And it's a very cute little moment. Even Sammy and Ron meet up. So it's a nice like triple date little beach day.
And the vibe seems to just be good. No fighting, no tension. They just have a good beach day, which is not typical.
It's nice. It's nice.
It was nice. Suddenly everybody's at home again. The show is edited a little bit choppily, but we love it anyways. Listen. And they're cooking Sunday dinner. Mike mostly as usual is cooking. And he accidentally says a little kitchen fire, just a little one, nothing crazy. But the smoke detector goes off. It actually seems
pretty minor for like the chaos it caused.
I think it was just smoke. I don't even think there was a flame.
No.
But they set up the smoke detector.
Yeah.
And the fire department shows up. And
it's of course the hottest one. So like, was this staged?
I swear it must have been staged because I'm sorry, but half of these men looked like Chippendales, like fake firefighter strippers, because they were tall.
Like 4 of them.
The whole fire department rolled in to check on their little kitchen fire
to
that didn't
turn their fucking smoke alarm off.
Literally, you know what it was? Let me put this in a perspective. You know when you like put water on rice and it's really steamy? It literally was like something like that. Like there was not even a flame. The whole fire department shows up. It's the hottest, tall, big, beefy, beautiful men you've ever seen. Their faces were blurred, but you could tell they were gorgeous.
Are you sure this wasn't somebody that's like Bachelorette? Like it seems so.
They looked like Bachelorette party strippers.
That's so funny.
The tall one with the beard, he's the one that looked most strippery. Did you?
Well, JWoww and Snooki were getting their looks in. They both had some fireman fantasies while they were in the house.
I can't lie, firemen are hot.
I mean, it's like the uniform. I mean, my girlfriend's a mechanic. I get it.
And firefighters, they have a certain type of build. They get real stocky and they're big and they're beautiful men.
And there's the aspect of like, I save lives.
That visual of them like saving you, throwing you over your shoulder, that whole fantasy, and like bringing you out of the building. There's something to that for sure.
Yeah. So they save the day and family dinner still happens. And they do have a nice little familial moment again for a second, which is just, I feel like they have these like family moments almost as a way to like remind each other why they're not killing each other. Because there's like simultaneously so much tension, but then they're like, but we're a family.
And I think that's something that happens in real family too. Like when there's tension, sometimes you just have to literally say, hey guys, we all love each other at our core. We're family. And like, let's not get crazy.
Sounds exhausting.
Well, yeah. Well, family is exhausting. Hello. Well, okay. There's some good tea, but I think we should save it for after the break.
I think so too. We will be right back.
We'll be right back. Hey, JWoww.
Hey, Cookie.
Do you like electro pop music?
Of course.
Well, I love electro pop music, which is why I make it. So I'm going to play a song for you right now. And if you like what you hear, make sure to check me out. You can find all the links on my social medias. I'm available at Angel Iconic Music.
We're heading through a wormhole, baby. You better run, we're coming to Earth. And if we like it there, then we might stay. You're a world that has more than you deserve.
Okay, we are back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're back with something we haven't had in a couple episodes.
We were
It's
just
a
talking
good
about it.
old Ron and Sam fight.
We were just talking about it. I think it was last week. It's been a while. We were due, and we got one. It wasn't a huge blowout, to be honest.
No, but it's all pretty problematic, to be honest. Like Ron was like that. This was like pretty gross. It's very fetishy. It's very
there was
like
a lot of grossness and immaturity on both ends. So just to paint a picture, Sam asks Ron, do I look exotic?
So I don't love the term exotic to
I don't either.
describe people, but I think that what they were trying to refer to is I think that one of the guys either I don't think it was like one of the girls whose names we know. I don't know who they were talking about, but they were saying that they were using that word to describe that girl.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I don't know what she looked like, but it's probably insensitive to
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't call people exotic. You shouldn't call people that. But Sam is just like asking that. And Ron problematically says, yeah, you look a little Asian. I'm into it. And Sam gets upset because apparently his ex is Asian, which all is just very fetishy and uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so she just kind of gets up and leaves. They don't really...
I don't blame her. Like, what are you going to say? She's just like, okay, bye.
Where do you think her head was at? Because she got really upset really quick.
I think it's a really uncomfortable thing to have said. Like, I don't think it's good to like compare in the way that they were and like I don't know. It was all I honestly don't know what was going on in her head. I feel like she was just so like appalled and confused by the situation. And it's not good to be compared to exes. There's an added layer of problematicism on it. And I think that she just like probably is so overwhelmed with like Ron in general that even after a little calm, like any sign of another storm, she just like walks out. But I don't blame her for that because what the heck is she supposed to say to him?
And they didn't really fight this time. There was just a little bit of tension. But actually,
I would say they fought.
Did they?
Because, well, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
So she goes out.
Yeah, you're right.
So she goes outside and he follows her. And instead of apologizing, he just gaslights her into a fight, basically. Yeah.
As he does. What else does Ron do?
It definitely escalates.
But then Snooks comes out to comfort Sam. And it's interesting because I have found myself in the same situation. So Snooki feels like Sam is doing a little bit too much, but they just became sort of friendly again. And she doesn't want to tell her that. So she kind of just says what Sam wants to hear. And I've been in that situation before, and it is a weird balance of like, are we cool enough that I can be honest, or do I need to lie to you right now and say what you want to hear?
I don't think that the fight needed to escalate to where it got to. So I do think Sam was doing a little too much. Yeah. Like she could have called him out and been like, you can't say that. But she's like, why are you with me then? It like goes from 0 to 100 really fast.
Yeah.
But we were overdue for a nice little Ron and Sam fight.
But right after that, there's actually a pretty funny moment where Jenny and Snooki are making a hookup board because they want to determine through like connections who's hooked up with who, and therefore who's hooked. Like if I hooked up with you and you hooked up with him, then all three of us sort of have a connection. So they're trying to find out.
You mean my L word chart that I had to explain to everybody what that was last season because nobody fucking knows this is exactly what it is.
Exactly. And you were ahead of your time because I didn't even remember that they did this.
I didn't remember either, but this one was more around just makeouts. Whereas my chart is around like hookups. And we learned that in this board, Snooki's basically the epicenter of she's just basically made out with everybody.
She's at the center of everybody's Yeah, exactly. But really by process of osmosis or whatever, they've all made out with each other in a sense. In a sense.
Everybody can be linked in a way. Yep.
Yeah. when they
Very
call it swapping
incestual.
spit, which I know, right?
Yeah.
Which I hate the term swapping spit. They kept saying like, "Oh, who swapped spit with who?" I don't like
Right?
that.
It's a little gross.
It gives me weird mental images that I don't like.
Yeah, no, it's a little much. It's a little much.
And then there's another funny moment. We have a little bit of MVP action.
Earlier in the episode, actually, I think they kind of teased that Mike likes to push his luck when it comes to parking, and we see it run out here.
So Mike parks in front of a sign that says tow away zone right in front of it.
Clear as day.
But here's the situation. Rules don't apply to him, Gina. He can park anywhere he wants.
That's certainly what he thinks. And while they're tanning, the rules apply to him and the car gets towed.
And they have to pay to get the car out of prison. Let me ask you, have you ever been towed?
I've never been towed, but I was booted in college. But I kind of blame my parents because they wouldn't let me have my car at college for like the semester. But then I like never got a parking pass. But then I kept needing like finding reasons to bring my car up and then not paying the parking tickets. And then eventually campus security put a boot on my car. But it was like not that much money. I paid it off and not a big deal. But it was kind of traumatizing when I was like, I was like 19 and I walked out and there was a boot on my car and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. But I don't even think my parents know to this day. And they don't listen to this, so they still won't.
A boot is like car house arrest, and being towed is like prison.
Yeah, I just got put on car house arrest.
My car.
That's a hilarious analogy.
Let me tell you. Now, I've been towed, and I've been towed in a very big and expensive way.
Whoa.
So I'm stupid, and I was living in an apartment. And apparently they have a rule about having unregistered cars parked in their lot. I forgot to pay my registration. I had bad tags. And so they towed my car. The apartments did. They had it towed.
Whoa.
And I had a parking pass and everything. They just didn't like the bad tags. So I found out that if you get towed for bad tags, it's big trouble. So I had to go, listen to this. I had to go to the DMV to pay my registration with a billion late fees. Now that's my fault. The late fees were my fault. Then I had to go to the police station to pay my ticket that I got for having parked an unregistered car. Then I got to the tow lot and had to show them all the paperwork. And then I could get my car. It cost a total of just over $1,000.
What?
Yep. Because I had to pay
What
for the
scam.
I had to pay. It wasn't all part of that was paying registration. So that was to the government. And then I had to pay some to the police department, the sheriff's office. And then I had to pay the tow truck lot. So it cost a little over $1,000 plus Uber. So it was more like $1,200. I mean, it was so much.
Wow.
It was so expensive and it was humiliated. I was living with my parents, my mom and my stepdad at the time, and they had to see that. It was so embarrassing.
So were you furious when you saw that Mike only had to pay $175?
Yeah, I was. But listen, he didn't have to go to the sheriff's station like I did. So I understand it was less.
I guess, but wow, that sucks.
Yeah, but it was a little bit. It was. I was having flashbacks. I was. My poor car was in prison all day.
I'm so sorry for you in prison. Oh my God, that is hilarious.
That was a few years ago though. But so after that, they all decide to go out clubbing again.
Well, MVP specifically goes out.
Right. It's an MVP night.
It's just an MVP night. They go to Tantra and where Ramona, that's where she dances. And I still like her and Vinny. They're cute. Like she's so excited to see him. Yeah. I like them a lot. Can I also just say before we get into the events of what happens, we've talked also last season about the royalty free music and they really Miamified it this episode.
They did. I'm so glad you said that because it's true. I love that. Every season they change the music for the location to fit, and I think that's beautiful.
It's really because it's still definitely not the music that's playing, but they almost fooled me because there was a little bit of lyrics, a little bit of Spanish mixed in, which I was like, is this because they're in Miami? It was actually, it made me laugh.
They don't do it consistently though, because they were playing sort of punky rock MTV kind of music
in space.
And Jenny and Snooki were shuffling, and they're playing like soft rock music. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. They were clearly listening to house at the club.
Right.
They were house dancing and they were playing that classic 2010s MTV soft rock that they would always play.
Right.
I wish I had an example. I would play it. Maybe I'll put it in post.
If it's in post, here it goes. Okay.
Yeah. But then they find, once again, Paulie.
Mm-hmm.
Paulie, he's good at this. He finds 2 girls, one for him and one for Mike. Again, he's too nice.
He's a great wingman. He is too nice. They keep saying these girls are from Canada, aka Canada.
The blondes from, he specifically said 2 blondes from Canada.
Yeah, and Vinny takes Ramona home again. And I'm sorry that I keep lusting after Ramona, but her outfit is fucking fire with the high boots and the fedora and the little shorts. She's just incredible. And they have just a nice, comfortable night. They go to sleep, and Vinny's even like, this is how I know I really like a girl, when I can just hang out with her all night and be super comfortable. And I put a little heart because I just like them.
Yeah, it's very sweet. It's crazy too, because I thought she had absolutely no interest in him, and now look at her. She's way into her little man.
I know there must have been something with her, not wanting to be a part of the show or something, because
so.
they do hit it off, I think, really well.
They do, and well, let's get into it. So they go home with the Canadian girls.
They do, and this is where we say deja vu, because they're in a situation where Mike is not going to get laid, but Paulie still could, but Mike, again, bitter boots, and decides, if I'm not getting laid, nobody is.
He's just such a brat. One of the girls was like, I think we're going to leave in 5 minutes. And he was like, well, if you're leaving in 5 minutes, just leave now. Get out.
He's not only a brat, he's a dick.
He's a dick.
Where does he, he thinks he's so entitled. He thinks he's this A-list celebrity or something. And I get that they're famous now and everything, but even Paulie is you don't treat girls like that ever. What are you doing? And Paulie doesn't even know how to handle it. He's kind of ignoring him, but to the camera, he's basically telling us that he's going to exile him as his wingman.
This behavior that Mike is exhibiting is such an example of why men are so terrifying, and why it's so terrifying to be someone who's attracted to men, because they will play so nice and sweet and funny until they feel like they're not going to get what they want. And this is not all men, but you never know when you're going to end up with the one that's like that, where if you reject them, they flip a switch and it gets scary and they're mean and they're physical. Yeah. And this is how he behaves on camera, broadcasting to the nation. Who knows how he was at this time behind the scenes.
Right.
So it wasn't a good sight. I didn't like it. I was just starting to really like Mike this season, and I hate that the last 2 episodes he's been so awful.
He's only got one more to turn it around, so we'll see. This is not a good situation era right now, and I'm over it as well. And it ends with him basically just saying things and Paulie looking at him I don't even know what the fuck to do with you.
Yeah.
But I said I'd keep the cookie quotes lighthearted, since Mike is making the rest of the show not. So this cookie quote is actually a poem that Vinny has wrote for us. Paulie is going to be the one who reads the title, and then Vinny says the poem. Would you like to be Vinny or Paulie?
I'll be Paulie. I'll give you center stage this one. I want to see how you recite this poem.
Okay. Set me up.
It's t-shirt time.
If you've got the fattest gear and no one can come into your atmosphere, then you're a part of t-shirt time, and you will be until we yell, Cabs are here. Mic drop. Scene.
Snaps. That was a beautiful poem.
My spoken word expertise is really on point. And I can't believe there's only 1 episode left in the season.
That was beautiful. You know what? There's a lot of poets. Snooki's a poet. Vinny's a poet. These people are good with words.
I love it. Well, goodbye.
Good.
Hello.
Goodbye.
Bye. If you want more of the podcast, you can follow us on any social media at Hello Pod.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/hello. We've got a video feed there so you can see our beautiful faces while we recap Jersey Shore. And we've also got a little bit of behind the scenes bonus content for you.
And you can find me anywhere online at The Libregina, including my website, thelibregina.com.
And you can find me online on TikTok and Instagram at angel.iconic.music.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.